11.9 miles to the gallon.
All right. Oh, go ahead. You want to have your grandma candy?
Yeah. Always have a stash in the glove box.
What is it, butterscotch or maple or?
Like Werther's Originals.
Whatever. Total Oma candy.
Uh-huh.
All right. Let's see. Start her up. Let's see how this sounds. Still sound good?
Sounds good.
After all these years. All right. So we're going to talk about our 2011 Mercedes C63. And for the nerds out there, that's the W204.
A W204?
That's just the Mercedes number that they gave it. One's out, it goes W205 was the one after. That was the next class. They didn't have the big V8. And then the one coming out that's electric is a W206.
Ah.
Can you imagine having electric power instead of, 480 gasoline powered dinosaur biting power?
No.
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 That is part of it, right?
I'm like, what's the point?
The point is it might be pretty good.
Well, the point is, it probably,
Might be good.
might save you a lot of money.
All right. All right, let's see if there's any lights in here. We can get in. No, we need those lights on.
We're still trying to figure out the lights in this car.
Well, that's just it, right? All these years later, we're like, oh, there's lights on in the back. Who put the lights on?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're not very good when it comes to that. Okay, you're going to have to open up the window a little because it's hot.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't want to have it too much.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is the most expensive car we've ever bought,
Oh my gosh, yes.
right?
Yes.
It costs more than half the price of our house in Nashville.
Yes.
Okay, no, actually, that's not true. Just a little under half the price of our house in Nashville.
Yes.
We bought our house in Nashville in 2004. It was $110,000
For a house.
for a house. This car, when we bought it in 2015, it was 4.5 years old. It was $48,000.
Yes.
It had 7,000 miles on it. And right now it has, let me see, 35,000 miles on it. So we've had it 7 years.
7 years and only 35,000 miles.
Right. So we put on 28,000 miles in 7 years, about 4,000 miles a year. And we've talked about maybe selling it before, and we obviously haven't.
Nope.
And why haven't we?
Because it's just such a great car. It's hard to give it up. And
And part of that's definitely the fact that it's just, every time you drive it, it's an experience. It's not just a car, it's an experience. It's like a ride at the carnival, right?
It is.
I'd call it a Disney ride, but it's a lot more dangerous than a Disney ride. Think of it as a ride at the local fair done by a carny who barely was sober when he woke up that morning and was very drunk by the time he finished creating the ride, and now you're riding that ride.
You are riding it.
This one is crazy, which is kind of the fun and also kind of the danger, because you never know if you really do push yourself where you'll end up.
Yeah.
So that's a problem, right?
Well,
And a wonderful problem to have, but it's also not been a car full of issues,
no.
right? Obviously, we would have sold it if we thought that every time we turned around we were doing something new and different and having to fix this or fix that.
And Mercedes repairs are expensive.
Yeah, they're not exactly the cheapest thing in the world. However, this car has not been.
No.
On the one hand, it only has 35,000 miles, but it is 12 years old. It'll be on the road 12 years in September of 2022.
And it still feels brand new.
Yeah, it rides like a tank. That's what we noticed. Up until we owned Lexus, we had never driven in a car that was so solid.
Yeah.
Our Nissan Rogue was the opposite. It was a piece.
Yeah.
This, however, still feels very solid.
Yes.
The only thing we've had to do to it, oil, right? And, oil changes, and I just did the 50,000 kilometer or 30,000 mile update. Mechanics, and it was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine. I think my favorite story from the mechanic was, should we change the oil? Frankly, we have to change the oil every year because sometimes we don't even drive And the mechanic said that his assistant said, do we need to change the oil in this one? Because it was so clear that they didn't think it had done enough miles to change. Now we always do the synthetic oil change and all that. Because if you have this kind of car, you don't do the cheap things.
Mm-hmm.
You do the expensive things, so you do better oil, do better tires, right? So we had to buy, like you buy tires, we bought Indy Firehawk, and they're not $50 tires. But why cheap out on your car when you've got this? It would just make no sense to cheap out on a car.
No. Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
There's that, and then frankly, it just feels good to drive it.
It does.
I think
it pulls you, like you feel like the car. I've said this before in other videos. Like it just wants to go and it wants to go fast, and it's made for that. It almost feels like if the car had a personality.
Every car has personality.
Yeah, every car has personality. That it's kind of bored if it's just like,
Like this kind of driving?
Yeah, like this kind of driving. It's like, come on, like, I was not made for this kind of driving. And when you go a little more, when you're a little more adventurous with the car, you can tell that it likes that. Like, it instantly goes into it. And, you don't get that with another car. Not any other car that we've owned.
I agree. It's the adventurous part that makes the car so good.
Exactly.
We're about to take it on family vacation, so it's also that. You can do it as a family car. We do have the child seat in the back. I've had that now for 5 years, and then we had it, I think we had it for 1 year with our eldest child, so it's been a family car. So far the car has not had any rust issues, which if you're in northern climates, Mercedes in the early 2000s had terrible rust issues. These do not. This one doesn't.
No rust.
No.
The paint looks brand new.
Yeah, I noticed that today. The paint looks brand new, and you'll be seeing some of the shots, and that's with a dirty car. That's what's crazy, is that it's not exactly 100% clean, because, life. I will say, the ride is rough. Like we're in like comfort right now, and comfort compared to the Lexus. No, I still feel every bump on the road, which you may be able to as well.
Oh yeah, I feel it. But you're supposed to feel the road in this car.
Yeah,
it's designed that way.
It does.
Yeah, but it's different. If you're thinking like, oh, this car is gonna be, it's Mercedes, it's luxury. It is, but it's sporty luxury. You're gonna get a sports car feel.
And here's some of that sports car feel. So at a stop sign, I'm gonna put it in manual and put it in sports, all the stability controls off. So this car is old enough now that a lot of people have considered it somewhat of a modern classic. And I'm gonna show you why. Here we go. Hold on to that phone.
Yeah.
Rev limiter on that one.
Here you go, just hold on to the phone. Yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
And that's why it's modern classic.
Yeah.
Is that it'll scare the daylights out of you.
Yes.
And that wasn't even trying that hard.
It sounds like a monster too.
Sounds like a what?
A monster.
Oh, yes. So if there's one thing I've noticed that I don't really like, it's that the transmission takes too long to change. Like, the red line is at 7,200, but you really do have to change before you get to that. It's just, it'll hit just like that if you're doing it through the paddle shifters, and it's even slower if you use the gear shift down below. But here, I'm gonna go down to first. If I want to hold on to it in, here we go. We go around this corner and first gear, and there we go. Can't hold on to it. Is that what's going on?
There we go.
Okay, try and get it right. There we go.
There.
Now I got the sun looking to look good. Got the setting sun in our eyes.
The pink glow.
Yeah. So that's why it just feels really, really good. Super easy to, put the back end out to have rear end play, as James would say. So, and you know who you are, James. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
It
But
is.
would you buy one now if you saw one? Man, I feel comfortable with it because we've had this car for 7 years and we know what it's been driven like. I bought it from the first owner. The first owner was a 69-year-old grandfather, so I feel pretty good that the car was well kept. I saw his garage. I bought it from him. I saw how he kept his garage, how he kept his other vehicles.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he took care of this really, really well.
Oh yeah.
We have done the same. And if you're buying one of these cars, W204 C63, you want to know who's owned it before and what they've done to it, and whether or not they've taken care of it in the way that it needs to be taken care of. Because some of these cars, right, they've just been
Used and abused.
So how much have we paid when it comes to repairs for this? I think I did a calculation because I did this a 5-year review, and the only thing that's changed since then are tires and oil changes. So really, we spend about $500 to $1,000 a year is what we've spent in keeping this car on the road, not including insurance and gasoline. The gasoline is a joke though, because even today, driving around the city, I was getting 11.9 miles per gallon, which is just ridiculous when you're paying $7 right,
Yeah.
a gallon.
Well, that's
Right, you're paying almost $1 a mile.
a huge expense.
And that was just normal city driving. Like if I did that crazy stuff, then it gets down into the single digits. in which case you're getting very close to paying $1 a mile for gas, because you have to use good gas. You can't use a cheap junk. And I've seen cars, the W204s with C63s, with 200,000 miles on them. There's people talking about it online, and that seems pretty good because we've got a while to go.
Yeah.
And obviously the car went up in value when used cars are going up in value, and up until early 2022. Will this be a classic car that retains its value? I don't know. Is it comfortable on a long trip? Well, we've taken it for long trips for thousands of miles, and it's been comfortable. After a while, you really get used to the seats. The seats are very snug. But
Yeah, they do. As you can see, they're like...
They'll grip you in. And now this seems like a very analog, ancient car because all the technology has passed it by in 12 years. And really, it was designed even before that. So it is really, technology-wise, it's really a 15-year-old car. And you can really tell. But if anybody buys this, it's not for technology. You buy it for the engine, the experience, and the fact that it's a carnival ride that you control. Try another dig from the freeway. See how that goes. Let's see if we can get that transmission and let's see if we can get the transmission and get a little bit snappier, and these paddles to actually work a little bit more effectively. Because again, my one bigger criticism of the car is that when I go to switch it, if I'm in manual mode, I have to switch too early, or else I just go off the rev limiter. Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
All right. You just have to go a lot sooner than you think. So that's our car, 7 years. If you're looking to buy one, they're great, but always find out who's owned it before, what they've done, and if there's any history to it, because these cars can have, at this point, a lengthy history. Fewer owners, the better. Fewer mods, the better. And, if there's an accident, I'd stay away from the car, but you might get it cheap. And if you just think of it as a one-way ticket to fun, then maybe you don't mind that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to do one more dig for you. All right, one final dig. All right.
Like and subscribe to our channel.
Yep, I'm ready. We retrieved it, so yeah.
Yeah, it flew off.
Yeah. So that's the W204 C63. We have the performance pack, so it has 480 irresponsible horsepower, and it's a lot of fun. Just be careful when you go buy one, because we do get that question quite a bit. Anyways, take care.
Take care. Oh, there's a police car. Oh, it's going the other way.
That was 7,000 RPM.